Okay, so today I'm going to be ranking all 8 movies in the Conjuring universe from worst to best. And before I start, uh, I am going to say I got this idea from the YouTube channel Sean Chandler Talks About. So, yeah, you can go check out his video if you want. But I noticed our lists are very similar. So, yeah, I'm not copying him or anything. I just noticed we had very similar lists. At number 8, I have The Nun. Um, it was just not a good movie. Um, the setting was pretty interesting, the castle and all that, but it was just boring. Like, it just focused on like noises scaring you. Like it was like Valak wasn't in it very often, but when she was, it was like the best scenes in the movie. Valak was good. But they just really tried to use like jump scares and noises to scare you. And they were just so predictable too. Like you saw them coming a mile away. The movie wasn't very interesting either. I wasn't very interested in it. But yeah, it just wasn't done well. The characters were decent, I guess. But yeah, not the best. At number 7, I have Annabelle, the first Annabelle. This movie, it was a little better than The Nun, not by much, but a little better. Annabelle, just did a little more, I guess, than just like noises scaring you than The Nun, but the characters in Annabelle were just boring to me. Like, I feel like they had just like the same reaction to everything. They weren't really interesting in any way. But Annabelle was cool, I guess. Uh, yeah, some of her scares were interesting, and seeing the demon was cool. Annabelle herself was probably the only interesting thing in that movie because, yeah, and the setting wasn't that great. I mean, the apartment buildings and stuff. I guess, the movie was just okay. Number 6, I have Annabelle Comes Home. Annabelle Comes Home, it was pretty decent. It was a lot better than Annabelle. Like from this point on, I'd say I like all the movies. But yeah, I like what I do like about this movie is that well, it has the Warrens in it. They're not in it very much, but Ed and Lorraine are still in it in the beginning and in the end. And this movie focuses on their daughter Judy and her babysitter and her babysitter's friend, which was 3 interesting characters. Like I feel like these were the strongest characters in the 3 Annabelle movies. They were likable and well done, I think. But um this movie, the some scenes lasted way too long. Like one scene where the babysitter's walking around the house, like hearing noises and stuff. It was like just a minute of her walking, and it got pretty boring quickly. Like you could have cut that scene in half, and stuff like that, and basic stuff like horror movie characters making dumb decisions. That's definitely in this movie, but the movie's pretty decent, I think. Um, yeah. Number 5, I have Annabelle Creation. Annabelle Creation was the best Annabelle movie. Annabelle was probably the creepiest in this movie and the most well done. It had like the best storyline, I think, and the characters were pretty good. I did like the characters in this one, and overall, it was just a good movie, like a solid good movie. Like it wasn't great, it wasn't bad, but it was just good. And but on paper, this really doesn't sound like it'd be a good movie. It's a prequel to a prequel. Because Annabelle's a prequel to The Conjuring, so Annabelle Creation's a prequel to a prequel. Like, it just doesn't sound like it's gonna be good. But I was surprised. It is good, the best Annabelle movie, and Annabelle was well done. So, number 4, I have The Curse of La Llorona. Now, I know most people didn't like this movie, but I was surprised. I actually did like this movie. I did really go back and forth between this movie and Annabelle Creation for this spot, number 4. But in the end, I went with the Curse of La Llorona. I just liked it a little bit better. I liked all the characters in it. Raphael, the ex-priest, he was just well written, and the actor did a really good job. And the main mom, the social worker, mom of the main 2 kids, she did a really good job. And I found out the actor who plays her also plays Velma in the Scooby-Doo movies, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, La Llorona was actually a really interesting villain. I think she was creepy at times. Uh, but there was a lot of jump scares in this one. Like, they really wanted to get jump scares out of this one. I could tell. It's not like the most uh, innovative horror movie. Like, there are plenty of movies just like this one. But this one was well done, in my opinion. I actually did like it. At number 3, I have The Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It. Now, I really like this movie. It's probably the weakest of the main 3 Conjuring movies, but still, this movie was great. I did a review of it on my channel if you want to go see that. But I basically talked about how we spent a lot of time with Ed and Lorraine Warren in this movie, more than the other 2. We got to explore Lorraine's, like, how she can see stuff that Ed and other people can't see. We got to see a lot of that, and some backstory to Ed and Lorraine. And yeah, I said this movie, it was more about proving that there was demonic possession compared to the other 2 when they're exorcising demons and like saving a family. This one, they're like trying to prove to the court that there was demonic possession. And this movie did focus more on curses and witchcraft compared to the other 2 Conjuring movies. And I just feel like the main antagonist was just a little weaker in this movie than, Valak and Bathsheba. But this movie was still really good. Like, if you did like the other 2 Conjuring movies, you'll like this one. But even if you, didn't like the other 2 Conjuring movies, this one's different. I do suggest this movie to everybody. At number 2, I have the first Conjuring movie. I really like The Conjuring. It was my first rated R horror movie. So yeah, I really like it. Ed and Lorraine, I think, are like the best main horror movie characters, in my opinion. They're awesome. And the family that they were trying to save in this one, they were a likable family. I thought they were pretty good. And the main antagonist, Bathsheba, she was a really interesting demon. And just everything about this movie was really great, and it was directed by James Wan, which any movie directed by James Wan is probably gonna be good. So, but yeah, I have nothing bad to say about this movie. It was just great all around. It was, yeah, it's just, I think it's a classic by now. Number 1, I have The Conjuring 2. The Conjuring 2 is probably my favorite horror movie of all time. That's how much I like this movie. It was really good. Ed and Lorraine Warren might be at their best in this movie. It was really great. The villains, the Crooked Man, Valak, they were both really, really good. Valak was actually better in this movie than she was in The Nun. And the Crooked Man, he was creepy and cool. I heard they're making a Crooked Man movie, so I'm excited for that. I'll be first in line to see that. And the family that they were trying to help in this, I think they just did a really good job. You actually felt bad for the family. You wanted to see Ed and Lorraine help them, which that's always great. It's directed by James Wan, so it's gonna be good. And I feel like the jump scares in this movie, they actually work. Jump scares in most horror movies, they're pretty predictable, but The Conjuring 2 did a really good job on nailing jump scares. And the plot was really interesting, Valak using the old man as a puppet. so Valak could get the soul of the little girl. It was just really good movie. I love it.